So I see a comment in the chat. Anyone with kids, especially teenagers, will understand this concept. Yes, I have 4 kids that 2 of them now are not teenagers. They're 21 and 20, but my youngest is 15. I had 4 teenagers in the house at the same time. And yes, they can say the words. It doesn't mean that we really got through with it, the communication connected. So the communication is 38% how you say it. And really, if we're going to be master communicators, and master listeners is part of being communicators, right? Communication is a two-way street. In fact, it's not 50-50. It's more listening than it is talking. But there's no way I can be a master communicator if I am not able to pick up tonality and tell the difference by how somebody says something. And as I mentioned, the body language, 55% is completely nonverbal. It's body language. So that would include things like smiling. When you smile while you talk, it makes a huge difference. If I say, I'm really happy, even if I say it in a way like, oh, I'm totally, no, I'm happy. I'm happy. You're like, okay, you can say it however you want to, but tell your face. Right? Have you ever said that to somebody, like they're like, I'm happy, like tell your face, because you're not smiling. And if you were happy, I would be able to tell. Well, if you're in a Zoom, that's a lot more information. You're able to see their body language. You see when they roll their eyes. You see when they look at their watch. You see when they look away, or they even just look at each other like as if to question what you're saying. Or you see them look at each other as if to reinforce, like you hit the nail on the head. You asked a question about the vacation and you see her look at him and he looks away like, uh-oh, busted. So there's a lot of nonverbal communication that we don't get when we're on the phone. But there's some nonverbal communication that we absolutely still get. In fact, let me ask you this question. By a show of hands, how many of you have noticed, without seeing somebody, you can tell when they're smiling? Yeah, you can hear it in how somebody talks. Not always. It depends on how much they're smiling. But in a general sense, a lot of the time, you can tell how somebody, their face is by listening carefully to how they're talking. You can hear there's a smile. They're talking through a smile or a frown. You can tell if they're talking with their head down and they're kind of mumbling because they're not really into it. Even physical body language that is not directly connected to your voice impacts communication without seeing it. I mean, it's been proven over and over, and I'm not going to, reinvent that wheel, but your physiology impacts your communication. It impacts how you're perceived, what people hear. If I just slump down, fold my arms, lean back in my chair, everything I say, even if I'm trying to be hyped up and say it with tonality and all that, there will be an impact. There will be a negative impact on this communication. But if I sit up straight, my confidence is improved. I'm getting more oxygen. So physiologically, I'm actually better equipped. But it's also, believe it or not, it comes through in subtle ways, and energy comes through when I'm upright, when I'm sitting up, standing up, those things actually do make a difference. And so I say that to be tuned into it, to pay attention to it, to not discount the fact that people can actually hear more than you think they can hear, even when you're on the phone. And one of the things that we found helpful when working with teams that were primarily on the phone, and some of them were starting to play around with the Zoom, and the goal was to move everybody towards Zoom, there were people that were terrified of the Zoom because now people can see me, and especially if I'm still learning a script and I'm reading and I don't know what I'm doing and I'm kind of like all over the place, you would clearly be nervous to have somebody see you, and it's a little easier to pull off if you're not quite comfortable if they can't see you. But the best way to prepare for Zoom, if you're not used to doing a Zoom, is to act as if you're on Zoom, to pretend, even if I'm just on the phone, exactly the same way. Dress the same way, take care of my hair or whatever. Like, don't just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna be on the phone, who cares? If you literally act as if you are on Zoom or you're going to be in person with somebody, and you smile and you face the computer, that nobody is looking at you in the computer, but you're facing it because you're on the phone, but you know that at some point you're going to be doing Zoom. You just constantly act as if you are on Zoom and use the body language and everything else as if you're on Zoom. Number one, you will be more effective on the phone because of the amount of that stuff that actually carries through your voice that you didn't even know, that impacts your physiology, that improves your communication that you didn't know. But maybe more importantly, and to most people, is if I know I'm going to have to do Zooms at some point, by the time I'm doing Zooms, it won't even be a big deal. I'll just be like, yeah, turn the camera on. Like, I'm already doing all this stuff. It's not, I don't have to all of a sudden learn how to do it on Zoom. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. So when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so that takes away the fear of the doing it a new way, or, what's that going to be like?